Time now for our FanDuel Sportsbook Best Bets of the Weekend. Tonight, let's look at the futures market to win the National League pennant. Despite losing 2 of 3 to the hometown team, Los Angeles is still the heavy favorite at just over 2-1. The Mets are just behind them at 4-1, followed by the top team in the NL Central, Milwaukee, at 6-1. The reigning World Series champion Braves are 4th in line at 7.5-1, and San Diego rounds out the top 5 favorites at 8.5-1.
Our producer, Steve Benko, will probably like that plus 750 for Atlanta, just saying. Before we close out here, Chris, we got a tweet from Todd. It's actually a pretty interesting concept here, or I should say a pretty interesting topic. He says the Pens won't win at the Garden in Game 7. We have seen the core of this team play in Pittsburgh for the last time. Agree or disagree?
I agree. I think at least, if you count Letang as the core, I think at least he's going to be gone. You start to try to read the tea leaves a little bit. It doesn't seem like the new ownership group and Evgeny Malkin are particularly close on a contract, and particularly close as far as how they perceive his valuation. So he's probably going to be gone too. I think it's Crosby and a bunch of new faces. I think Brian Rust is probably gone as well. So yes, I do think we saw, if they lose Game 7, the last time this team's ever going to play together as that group in PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh.
I think a couple of those faces are probably gone. I kind of feel the same way you do about Evgeny Malkin. Losing Brian Rust just feels like that might be the blow they can't recover from. Honestly, you see a game like this, and we talked about Rust and Gensel, how these guys could be the future of this team, and there's always the same, caveat with those two, like, oh, well, they play with Sidney Crosby. Well, you saw what they did tonight without Sidney Crosby. We saw Gensel set up Rust for the goal that put them ahead 2-0 in an elimination game, and it seems like Brian Rust always comes up big more often than not in elimination games. Not that that's the only deciding factor, but you're talking about two guys, one guy who can be a 20 to 30 goal scorer, another guy who could be a 30 to 40 in Gensel, and it seems like those guys should be the bigger part of your future. So losing Brian Rust, to me, feels like a huge blow, Chris.
Well, I think the rest of the NHL knows what Brian Rust is, and because he's younger and because he's got to get his big deal, I think that's why he's really likely to be gone. You could squint and say Malkin might take a team-friendly deal, that Letang maybe would, although less likely. Rust definitely won't, nor should he. So I think this might be the end of an era. I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't go this way because a third-string goaltender couldn't hold the fort. But you have to at least consider the distinct possibility, Josh, that that's exactly what we saw. Malkin played like a guy with his hair on fire for a lot of tonight, especially late in the game. He brought them back. He was trying to set up big-time plays. Marino could have had a goal in the first period to make it 3-0 off a great feed, off a play Malkin set up. But, this is how things end, Like, these guys are in their mid-30s. Penguins fans, I would say, if this is the last time you saw them together, even though Crosby didn't play, they won you 3 Stanley Cups with this group, and they went back-to-back when nobody thought they were going to necessarily win 1, let alone 2. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll see if Monday night is indeed the swan song for this team. In the meantime, thanks to Chris Mueller for joining us again. Thanks for your calls. Thanks for your tweets. For our producer, Steve Benko, Jared Barton, and our team at Pittsburgh CW, I'm Josh Taylor. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow night.